welcome to another Monday Meetup. On today's Monday Meetup, we are going to be meeting your future international student advisors. We're very excited to be joined by our teams both in Thunder Bay as well as Aurelia. And we're going to dive into it. We'll have them chat about their experience as an advisor, introduce themselves, share more info so you get to know them a bit beforehand before you begin your journey with Lakehead. So we do have quite a few people on today's webinar. I do apologize. Our immigration advisor, Jennifer, is not listed here, but I certainly don't want to forget her. So I'll start off. My name is Jordan Ball. I am the International New and Social Media Officer here on campus. I help oversee our social media, our live webinars, our Global Ambassador Program, and a bit more. But I'll pass it over to Lateefah to do a very brief introduction. And then we have a larger slide, of course, for our advisors to chat more. I think, Lateefah, you're just muted, actually.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Lateefah Olatunde, and I am an International Students Advisor at Lakehead University.
Awesome. And then I'll pass it over to Laura.
Hello, everyone. My name is Laura Pudas, and I'm an International Student Advisor at Lakehead as well.
And then I'll pass it over to Sarah, and I do apologize, Sarah, I realize that I've misspelled your title.
No worries, Jordan. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Melvin, and I'm the International Student Services Coordinator. So nice to be here today.
Awesome. And then I'll pass it over to Vijay.
Hi everyone, my name is Vijay Babu and I'm one of the International Student Advisors, and I'm really happy to meet you all today.
Awesome. And then I know I said that I mentioned I didn't have Jen on here, but I'll pass it over to Jen. I know everyone's probably met her by now for our Tuesday sessions, and we'll be live again tomorrow, but I'll let her introduce herself.
Thanks, Jordan. And yes, hello, everyone. I know I met most of you just 2 weeks back when we did our first webinar. And yes, as Jordan has noted, we will do the immigration sessions on Tuesday. So I will sit in today in case you have any questions. But moving forward, we will save all the immigration stuff for the Tuesday meetups. Thank you.
Awesome. And last but not least, we have Katie and Aurelia. Very excited to have her. Pass it over to her.
Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Katelyn Fraser, and I'm the International Engagement Specialist at the Aurelia campus in Southern Ontario. I look forward to working with everybody.
Awesome. I think today might be our biggest session yet. We've had a few hosts and co-hosts and special guests over the many months that I've been running these, but I think today's our biggest session, and it kind of speaks to the fact that we have so many advisors and so many supports and services within our international team here. So we're very excited to chat a bit about that, answer some questions from future students, and of course dive into it. But without further ado, things to remember throughout today's session as a friendly reminder. If you like what you see, don't worry, we'll be sending out a recording to the video at the end of this week if you're on our mailing list. So if you are on our mailing list, you'll get that link in your email. If you're not on there, you can always sign up and let us know if you would like to do that. I'll get you the link right away. Otherwise, our YouTube channel also sees those recordings uploaded typically within the same day. So if you have to head out early, if you join late, if you want to watch the session one more time, a second time, you can always head over to our YouTube channel. It's Lakehead University. The playlist you're going to be looking for is Lakehead International Lives. If you do have any questions for us today and you're joining us on Zoom, you can always use the Q&A function. If you're over on Facebook Live, you can certainly comment on that video and we'll be happy to get back to you. And last but not least, I always encourage our viewers to stay connected with us, follow us on our social media pages, and get updates from our university, as well as get an insider sneak peek as to what's happening on campus. Without further ado, though, I'll pass it over to Laura Pudas to introduce herself and dive a bit more into who she is and what she does.
Yay, I get to go first. Thanks, Jordan. So yes, my name is Laura Pudas, and I'm an International Student Advisor with the International Student Services Department in Thunder Bay. I believe I'm going into my 4th year being an International Student Advisor, which is super exciting. Time really flies. So I have lived in Thunder Bay for most of my life. I was born and raised here. I lived in Ottawa for a couple of years for school, but then moved back, and I'm actually a graduate of Lakehead University as well. I studied and graduated with an honors Bachelor of Arts in Women's Studies and Indigenous Learning, which was a really interesting experience. When I was in my undergrad degree at Lakehead, I actually studied abroad in Finland. So I spent one semester during my third year at the University of Helsinki in Finland, and that kind of introduced me to the world of international education, student exchange, and the Lakehead International Office, because I really, had never been there before, didn't know much about it. So when I graduated, I started working as an international student advisor, and it's been very interesting and really exciting. So aside from helping international students, I also help coordinate our student exchange programs. So this is sending Lakehead students abroad and receiving students from our exchange partner institutions as well that come to Lakehead on a short-term exchange. International students can also study abroad. So I know you're not here yet, maybe a couple years down the line, you might be interested in doing an exchange. And if you are, please come talk to me or Katie if you're in Aurelia. I really love working as an international student advisor because I like to help people. And when a student meets with me, I want to make sure that they feel comfortable to ask any questions that are on their mind without fear of judgment. I like to think that I'm a problem solver. So if you come to me with a problem, I promise I will do my best to help you sort it out. And I really love this job because I get to meet people from all around the world. And it's so interesting to hear about all of your different backgrounds and your families and where you're from. So as I mentioned, I'm born and raised in Thunder Bay, and I've lived here for most of my life. So for those of you that are coming to the Thunder Bay campus, I want you all to know that you are coming to an amazing city. I don't know where each of you are located, but I can promise that Thunder Bay will be very, very different. It's quite unique. A couple of things that I really love about this city is the weather, which might sound a bit crazy because we've all heard rumors about the Canadian winter, but it's honestly very beautiful. Living in Thunder Bay, you get to experience the beauty of all 4 seasons. Right now we're in summer, which has been amazing. We've had warm weather for 2 months, and most people spend time outdoors, swimming, hiking, all those amazing Canadian nature activities. But then when fall comes around, it never looks more beautiful with all the leaves changing colors. And then winter, even though it kind of stays longer than we want sometimes, it is really, really beautiful too. And if that's something that you're nervous about, I just want you to embrace it and, be open-minded, try some outdoor activities, obviously layer and keep warm. But there is so much to do here, and nature really is an amazing part of this city. I also love living in Thunder Bay because there's just a lot going on. Our city is quite large in terms of size and spread out. So you kind of need to get out there and explore outside campus in terms of, getting really, really involved in our community. We have a super vibrant downtown core with lots of arts and attractions. There's different events and festivals happening almost every week, it seems like. So there's lots to do. You just need to kind of go out and find it. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. That's what I love about Thunder Bay, and I'm really excited for those of you that are eventually coming here and will get to experience it too. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the introduction, Laura, and chatting about your Thunder Bay experience, but also a bit about your background, what you studied in university and where you studied, all that sort of stuff. Something I'd like to echo, of course, is, the weather. I also agree. Certainly winters can seem extreme, especially if you're coming from a tropical climate. You might think, I don't know if I'll be able to survive the snow. But time and time again, I hear from students is the fact that they don't recognize how many other activities there are still to do, and they can still stay active. They can go get outdoors, they can stay indoors and do all these new activities that they never dreamt of even. And I'm certainly a big fan of many of those activities. So I do want to address, we have a couple questions in the Q&A right now. One of them is with regards to pursuing a Master's of Computer Science. And you have provided a few details about what marks you've received, your GPA, your IELTS score. If you actually want to join us on one of our Wednesday weeklies, unfortunately this Wednesday weekly on July 1st is not available. It is Canada Day here in Canada, so our university is closed. So we've postponed that session to July 8th, I believe it is. But you can also certainly connect with us at welcome@lakeheadu.ca, and we'd be happy to connect you with our graduate studies team to help work through the admission requirements to Masters of Science in Computer Science. So then we have a few other questions. There's one about immigration. As we mentioned, tomorrow we will be doing an immigration session with Jennifer Hare, in-house immigration advisor. And if you want to join us tomorrow, we'd be certainly happy to answer that question. If we have time at the end of today's session, we might be able to get to it, but I do want to pass this time off to our advisors for now. So I'll pass it over to the next person, who is Lateefah.
Yay. Hello, everyone again. My name is Lateefah, and I'm an international student advisor at Lakehead University in the Thunder Bay campus. And I'm Nigerian, so I've moved to Canada for about 8 years now. And I initially moved to Vancouver to finish up my high school, and then moved to Thunder Bay for school. I studied political science pre-law as my undergraduate degree. And at first, to be honest, when I first moved to Thunder Bay, considering I moved from Lagos to Vancouver, the weather wasn't that terrible in BC. It was really nice. It wasn't too harsh. But when I moved to Thunder Bay at first, it felt like, oh my gosh, what have I done? But as I continued to live in Thunder Bay, as I became a part of the community, I just had that sense of home. Like, you know, I felt like I was at home. I felt at ease with everything. I really like Thunder Bay. I started hiking more, just being open-minded, as Laura said, and I actually enjoy Thunder Bay. I love living in Thunder Bay now. I honestly don't see myself being anywhere else, funny enough. I enjoy working with international students because I understand, you know, the struggle. I understand, you know, the transition process and what it's like to be an international student here. And I'm here to just show that it does get better. You know, just have to be open-minded, keep pushing, but it can be overwhelming at first, but as long as you embrace the whole process, you'll be successful and you'll be great. So I'm very happy that I have this opportunity to work with international students, to provide support, to provide guidance, to be a home away from home. I assure you that if you either come to Thunder Bay or Aurelia, you feel that sense of community. You definitely feel that love. You know that we genuinely care about you. What else do I like about Thunder Bay? I love nature. I like the weather now. Winter is still a little bit, you know, cold for me, but I love it. You know, you have the right gears, you'll be good. I love the food as well. You get to try different meals, different restaurants here. So yeah, Thunder Bay is great, and I really, really love providing support to international students. I'm looking forward to meeting all of you when you arrive in Thunder Bay. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Lateefah. And I have a quick question for you. Since you mentioned the diverse food that you can try in Thunder Bay, I'm curious to know, and I'm sure once our students arrive, they might want to know as well, what's your favorite restaurant or your go-to restaurant in Thunder Bay?
I would say Ted's Kitchen.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really, really nice. I love the rice and beans and his chicken, so good. So that's my go-to. But I also like Monsoon a lot, so I'm always going like back and forth with Ted's Kitchen and Monsoon.
I'm right there with you. Monsoon is right there at the top for me. I'm always getting butter chicken and then garlic naan. There's so many good options there. I mean, to be honest, I haven't really explored the menu too much, but I'm hoping to eventually really get into trying all these different foods. But there's so many restaurants to try too. It's hard to just pick one and settle down.
It's really hard to settle for sure.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, and I'll pass it over to Vijay to introduce himself.
Thank you, Jordan. Hi, everyone. My name is Vijay, and I'm one of the international student advisors. I'm from Chennai in India, and I joined Lakehead to do my master's in 2016, and then I graduated in 2018 and joined the international office last year as an international student advisor. My first contact with the international office was with volunteering. Like, I was volunteering with their peer mentor program and orientations, and sort of liked it. Like, it gave me an opportunity to interact with other international students and learn about their cultures. Like, I like learning about different cultures and languages, and that was one of the key things which motivated me more to join the office. And at first, like, I came to Thunder Bay in winter, like near Christmas, when it's like almost peak, and it was the first time I was seeing snow and everything. Like, it was a different experience. Like, you know, like for someone coming from a city with 42 degrees Celsius temperatures, having winter was a different experience, and I really loved it. And people were a little bit amazed, like whenever I told them, like, I love the winter more than the other seasons. Yeah, and there are a lot of activities to do here in Thunder Bay, whether it's winter or summer. There is always something or the other going on. In summer, you have concerts at our different parks and trails, and also festivals like Kite Festival. And even at the university, we always have a lot of events and student engagement activities, and which I would definitely recommend all of you to participate once you arrive here. And even we have a lot of other online events going on. And I'm also a foodie, and as Lateefah had mentioned, there are a lot of restaurants here which you should try. My personal favorite is Thai Kitchen and Mongo's Grill. Like, I like to explore different cuisines. With Indian, because I can cook it, I really don't go there. And other than that, like, there are a lot of nature parks and trails, which I would definitely recommend that you explore. And if you are someone who likes photography, there are a lot of beautiful scenes which you can go out, explore, take pictures, almost like a professional level. There are so many beautiful sceneries here. And fall and summer, like almost every season has its own beauty. Like, in winter, everything is completely white. In fall, the color changes to brown and red, and in summer it's all green with a lot of flowers. So it's definitely a beautiful place. And I really love working with international students and helping them, being an international student myself at one point. You sort of help them, like what they are going through, and it sort of gives you the connection and help them, as well as also try to interact with them. And I always believe that there is something or the other to learn from each other, and learning from students is also like, when you meet with students, you get to learn about them, their culture, and a lot of other things. And I also help students transition, like help in the transition to Thunder Bay campus through one of our programs. And I really look forward to meeting you all once you arrive here. And thank you for choosing Lakehead.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Vijay. And also something, again, that you mentioned is the fact that you came from a city that was 42 degrees Celsius. That was a hot temperature there. And something I've heard from other students that join us from very hot regions is actually the fact that, to an extent, when you're in your hometown and it gets up to that temperature, you can't cool down. You can't dress down. There's no helping you almost. But then coming to Canada, it's not necessarily the opposite, but you can dress for the weather at least. So when it gets to those colder temperatures, when you refer to them as extreme temperatures even, at least you can dress for the winter. You can wear that extra jacket, you toss your mitts on, your glove on, your hat on. And I've heard from many students that they would much prefer dressing for a winter on a colder day versus trying to just make it through a really, really hot day back home. So it's always interesting to hear about all the different climates our students come from and how they appreciate the weather actually, typically. And of course, so last but not least, we have Katelyn Fraser in Orillia. So I'll pass it over to her to do her introduction and cover Orillia, Simcoe County, all that.
Awesome. Thank you, Jordan. Hello again, everybody. So my name's Katie, and I work at the Orillia campus in Southern Ontario. We're about a 2-hour flight from our friends in Thunder Bay. So my job is working really closely with all my colleagues in Thunder Bay to make sure that regardless of which campus you're studying at any point in your degree or any other degree, graduate or undergraduate, that all of our international students are getting access to similar services and supports from our international team. So like Laura, I am born and raised in Orillia. All my family is here, so it's a pretty special place for me. I also completed my undergraduate degree, like the rest of the team, at Lakehead at the Orillia campus when we were very, very small and the Orillia campus first started. I went on to do my graduate education in public health and spent some time working in the healthcare field. But I came back to Lakehead in the international department because to me, I'm really interested and passionate about creating supportive communities. So by that, I mean not just communities where people can be healthy, but also happy and successful and really enjoy whatever you are passionate about. So that's a really cool thing, I think, about my particular job, is that I get to meet all of you from all over the world and kind of, for lack of better words, be almost like a tour guide or connection for you to the Orillia community in the broader county of Simcoe. So it's very special for me because a lot of the networks and events that I try and connect students with are things that I've experienced throughout my life and I have a personal connection to. So I think it's a pretty cool privilege that I have introducing you to all those things. So let's see, some of my favorite things about Aurelia. We're a pretty small town, but within about 90 minutes, you can be downtown Toronto, you can be skiing on the mountains at Blue Mountain Village, you could be up at Algonquin Park in the Muskoka and Cottage Country area. So you can kind of choose your own adventure, and whatever your interests are, there's usually something for everyone around here. We are also a very strong arts and culture community, so lots of festivals and community events going on. Also a very active community. So one of the things I enjoy doing, especially during the warmer months, is taking advantage of the Trans-Canada Trail, which is all along Lake Couchiching and Lake Simcoe. And you can go all the way up to Algonquin Park. You could go down to Barrie, or you could go west of here, and you could use your bike, rollerblade, walk, run. In the wintertime, you could snowshoe, but it's a very scenic way to enjoy some of the scenery around Aurelian area. Lots of great food around here as well. Some of my favorite places being Apple Annie's, which is downtown Aurelia, amongst many other restaurants. But really, it's really great homemade food, home cooking, usually local produce and local food sources that they get all of their ingredients from. So that's kind of a unique thing to that restaurant too. Let's see, there was a couple of questions, and if Jordan, if that's okay, I'll just maybe answer one of them.
Of course.
So Canada Day, someone asked, what is Canada Day and what do people normally do for it? And because it's right around the corner for us, it is July 1st. So regardless of whether July 1st lands on a weekend or a weekday, July 1st is a national holiday in Canada. And it's celebrating Confederation in 1867 when all of our provinces came together and we celebrate as a nation. So what does that look like? In Aurelia and many other communities, we usually would have a really fun parade down the main street and around downtown Aurelia. And different businesses and community groups would come together to make floats and bring people together to get all decorated, and have flags and maybe lights and just different decorations. And they walk down the main street with a lot of members of our communities kind of lining the streets and cheering for them and kind of celebrating together. There's usually lots of music, some entertainment. This year it will look a little bit different given restrictions on social gatherings and trying to keep people safe and healthy. So a lot of people are likely to do smaller celebrations. So within your family units, I know with my family, we're going to have a nice lunch outside, like picnic with my parents, just to kind of be together and have some family time and really enjoy the weather, be thankful for the place that we live in, and kind of be outside and just kind of a relaxing type of day. So that's what I do. I don't know if anyone else wants to share what they do, but that's kind of our Canada Day tradition, is just family time. So I'm going to leave it there and hand it back to Jordan, if that's okay.
Yes, of course. Thank you. And I'll add on for Thunder Bay, something that a typical year for Canada Day, what we will experience here in Thunder Bay is a very large celebration on our marina waterfront. And what happens is we'll have a stage set up and we'll have live entertainment, different shows going on, plenty of vendors for different foods and different snacks and treats, which is always great. But we'll see thousands of people gather at the waterfront for an amazing firework display in the harbor of our marina. Of course, this year I know that won't be able to happen, like Katie had mentioned, just with social gatherings being restricted and keeping everyone healthy and safe. I myself, I know that I'll be heading out to something I refer to as camp. Many people in Southern Ontario will refer to it as a cottage. And for our international members, our audience members, you might not know exactly what a camp or cottage is, but it's typically a home or a location either on a lake or remote, farther away from the city you live in, that you get to go and just relax and enjoy nature. And so I'll be out there on Wednesday, hopefully getting some really nice weather, getting a nice tan, all that sort of stuff, diving into the water, swimming a bit, all that sort of stuff. So I'm very excited to celebrate Canada Day this year. Something exciting I want to preview for our audience members too, and I guess this is almost an exclusive for our audience members. If you head over to our Instagram channel, Lakehead International, give us a quick follow there. On Wednesday, we have some exciting stories lined up to help you learn more about Canada, get more familiar with Canada. Might be a quiz, might not, I don't know, we'll have to see. You'll just have to follow us on our Instagram account and check those stories out. Another thing that I wanted to chat about is we definitely have plenty of questions in the Q&A. This is actually the first webinar of our transition over to a new look at the Lakehead International Live series. And so International Student Services, many of the folks that you've met today and are on your screen now will be a part of this new Lakehead International Live series where they are going to help you transition to Lakehead University. And so on Monday meetups, as well as Tuesdays, Transition Tuesdays for immigration, myself and Jen will be hosting that. And then Transition Thursdays will be a variety of different themes where you will get to learn more about Lakehead, learn about that transition, help you prepare, how to get ready for your courses, all that sort of stuff. So we're very excited for this new transition to help you make sure that you're fully prepared for when you begin your courses this upcoming year. Without further ado though, we're going to dive into the questions. I know we have quite a few open. If there are any more questions though, we certainly encourage you to ask away. The first one is, can you tell me a bit about scholarships for international students? So I can chat about some of the entrance scholarships, and then I'll have one of our international advisors follow up with a few of other scholarships for current students. So our entrance scholarship is applicable. There are both undergrad entrance scholarships, so students that are pursuing undergraduate studies that have come from an international high school or transferring from even an international college or university, provided they haven't finished that degree or diploma, will be eligible for this scholarship. So it is a merit-based scholarship, which means that if you score between, I believe it is a 75 to an 80, you get a certain amount of money, and then from an 80 to a 90, you get a certain amount of money. With the largest sum of money, the largest scholarship is between a 90 and above. So you can check that out if you visit lakeheadu.ca/international. There's a tab there called Future International Students, and once you're there, you can review all of the scholarships for undergrads. There is also limited funding available for graduate students. Those are both in graduate assistantships, as well as faculty research stipends, pardon me. But I'll pass it over to one of the advisors to chat more about some scholarships that are accessible to students once they actually arrive on campus.
So there's quite a few. There's not as many scholarships for international students, but we do have some. Current students have access to a portal called My Awards on their MyInfo account. So if you go on there, you can just look to see what scholarship would work for you. It depends on your program, it depends on your grades or your average. And some students are always able to get something for each academic year using that. We also have a small bursary called the Emergency Fund. So if students are in unforeseen circumstances, or if there's an emergency, God forbid something happens to family back home, we're able to provide support to those students, but only in like emergency basis. But the most common one is the one on My Awards, and a lot of students take advantage of that. But if you keep up your grades and keep up the good work with your entrance scholarship, you're able to keep that for the 4 years or 3 years of your studies at Lakehead, which really helps.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Sorry, I was just going to jump in here just to say that a part of this does go hand in hand with your study permit application, because when you apply for a study permit to come to Canada, you must indicate that you have enough funds to cover your living expenses plus your tuition. So thankfully for students who are staying at home in the fall semester taking their courses, you won't have any living expenses, so it will be a little bit less expensive for you to attending in the fall semester, but you still do have to show immigration that you have enough funds to pay for your tuition fees in order to be approved a study permit. So our hope is that we don't have many students who are in international need, as you will demonstrate this through your process of applying for the study permit as well.
Awesome, thank you so much, Jen. So the next question I'll pass over to Katie is about getting part-time jobs, so I'll let her chat about that.
Thanks, Jordan. So the question was, as an international student, how does Lakehead University help me in getting part-time jobs? So the first piece of that will be ensuring that you've connected with Jennifer if you need to be able to work in Canada, that you have your work permit, you have a social insurance number, and that you're ready to go on your job hunt. We see students to help them get started with creating a resume and cover letter, which are two really important documents that employers like to see to get to know you, know your skills and your strengths. Between our international department, we also have a student success center at both campuses, and those people are also experts in helping you create resumes and cover letters. We also have a job bank that all of our students and alumni can have access to. So in the job bank is where a lot of local employers will post ads when they're looking to hire employees, whether it's part-time or full-time, and in any community. It doesn't necessarily have to be Orillia or Thunder Bay. So these are a few different ways that we're helping students achieve part-time jobs. Aside from that, we also offer a lot of different skill building opportunities that help you build your resume and help you be a better candidate to obtain these part-time opportunities. So we offer some things like leadership programming to give you skills for better abilities for communication and relationship building, working in teams, building confidence. We offer different career sessions, so sessions on interviewing skills, how to engage with local employers, what questions you should be asking. So there are a few different ways that we can help. If you have any questions specifically about how to obtain part-time employment, I would strongly advise you to reach out to one of our advisors who are on the chat today to get that conversation started as soon as possible, because the more knowledge you have, the easier it will be on you as you start to look for those jobs and obtain that employment opportunity.
Awesome. And I know, Katie, you marked another question about the cost of living, so I'll let you chat about that one as well.
Yeah, sure. So I think the first thing to keep in mind is that there are a few different types of living situations for residents on both of our campuses, Orillia and Thunder Bay. In Thunder Bay, you could have a single residence room, so living by yourself and having a very self-contained space. You could live in a townhouse, which is a bit bigger and sharing with other people, and then apartment style. So a few different options, and each option has a different cost associated with it. In some circumstances, your residence fee may also include a meal plan. So make sure you know what you're signing up for and what you're applying to, because that will make a difference in the overall cost as well. If you look on our website right now, our 2020-2021 residence rates are posted. So they can range in total for anywhere from $7,400 to $11,000 for your academic year, so September through April. And again, that sometimes includes a meal plan, and also varies due to what type of living situation. So the best place to go is the website for the most current, up-to-date information on what those residence fees and costs are.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katie. So the next question I'll pass over is to Laura. It's marked about the fall 2020.
Let me find it here. Sorry, Jordan, which was the question?
No worries. It's submitted by an anonymous attendee. I'm starting my studies online for fall 2020, maybe after getting a visa. Situations get better. It should be closer to the top.
Right, I see it now. Yes, so thank you for your question. Right now, as per the timetables, courses, the majority of courses are offered online, and that's not something that's going to change for the fall semester. So it's not like midway through the term, classes will shift in person. So I would suggest, understandably with the COVID-19 situation, it's more difficult to travel to Canada. I would suggest holding off until you actually need to be in Thunder Bay or Orillia, whichever campus you've applied to or been admitted to, and kind of, just stay safe where you are, follow along with your classes online if possible, and then you can make travel arrangements once lectures are in person or you're ready to travel to Canada.
Awesome. And this kind of also addresses another question. It was, can I join campus this fall semester as an international student? If yes, what will the campus experience be like? And so speaking directly to students, if you do have a study permit, I know that there's a certain date. Jen might know it off the top of her head. I believe it was March 16th or March 18th.
Yes, the 18th. So right now, as it's been mentioned already in the webinar, we have already announced that most programs will be offered all online for the fall term. So of course, our goal is to make sure you have the same Lakehead experience. You can still reach out to all of us advisors. You still get the same immigration support and support through all the other programming. We have lots of peer mentorship and other conversation clubs and activities still happening online for you. So yes, we hope that you will have the same experience. And then once the travel does open up and classes are back to classroom delivery, of course, we welcome you to come to Canada and continue your education and see our beautiful campus in person. So if you did get a study permit that was approved before March 18th, you do fall into the current exemption. However, most of you will likely have a permit that will be approved after that date. We do want to have the study permit approved for the fall term because you want that term to be counted towards your postgrad work permit. And we can chat more about the immigration stuff tomorrow in that session. We won't take the whole session today to talk about that. But yeah, so if you are approved before the 18th, you can still travel to Canada. If not, then I will share the link for CBSA with everybody so that you can just be aware of what you need to for being mindful for travel.
Awesome. Thank you so much for adding on, Jen. And I'll pass it over to Vijay to answer a question about cost of living in Thunder Bay per month.
The cost of living in Thunder Bay is very low compared to other big cities like Toronto, Montreal. And also the rent situation here is very less compared to these big cities. So on an average, a student spends about anywhere between $400 and $500 on rent if you want a separate individual shared accommodation on off-campus. And for food and other expenses, it would be in the range of between $100 and $200, and it varies from student to student, like on how much you want to spend. But still, with between $100 and $200, it's like you can get a lot of stuff.
For sure. And also adding on to that, of course, is the consideration that it's individual to each student, whether you want to have a rental unit that's absolutely immaculate, brand new, just renovated. You might be looking to pay a bit more money for those amenities for that new apartment, versus if you're looking for something on the lower end or the inexpensive side, you can certainly seek out those different options. I mean, at the end of the day, we certainly do still recommend that students, when they do join us on campus in their first year, we recommend that they stay with us on residence. They get that experience, they get familiar with their community, with the university itself. And then at that point, they actually can meet friends on campus. They can meet friends within that residence community. And then if they choose to then head off campus for the following semesters or for the following years, they might have that established roommate group already that they've met, and it's tried and true. They've done it for a couple of years now. But like Vijay mentioned, it definitely varies. And again, also to the food too, is if you're living off campus, you have to cook all of your meals, you have to buy your own food. Whereas if you live on campus, in Aurelia, you are a part of a mandatory meal plan. And then select options in Thunder Bay, you're also a part of that meal plan. You can also opt into that meal plan in either cases, in either campuses. And so it's something definitely more individual to the student themselves. If you are interested in looking at some of those fees for resident, myself and Katie have put in the Zoom chat the links to both the Aurelia and Thunder Bay fees. So the next question I'll pass is to Laura about on-campus residence.
Yeah, so I can certainly speak to what it's like to live in on-campus residence in Thunder Bay, and then maybe Katie, you can shed a little bit of insight into residence in Aurelia. So living on campus is super, super convenient. All of the on-campus housing is in very close proximity to all of the buildings where you would be, taking classes, cafeteria, the gym, all of that kind of stuff. And when you live on campus, there are sort of 2-3 major options. There's the residence halls, which are for students coming straight from high school or secondary school. And those are where you have your own private bedroom. And then you're usually on a mandatory meal plan where you can eat at the cafeteria. And then there are apartments and townhouses, which are much more common. And these are the ones that I think are great, especially for international students. You have your own private bedroom, but you share either a 4-unit apartment or townhouse with 3 other students. So you would be sharing a common area, a bathroom, and a kitchen as well. And having that access to a full kitchen allows you to, cook for yourself, save a little bit of money that way, and then just use the cafeteria or meal services on campus when you need. You also have a lot of support and engagement when you live on campus. So every student and every sort of area of the residence is assigned what's called an RA, a residence advisor. And this is someone that is an advisor to you. If you ever have an issue, it's a person that you can contact to help you through a problem. They arrange a lot of different social activities for students living in their area. So there's usually something happening every week. And it's a very, community-based living situation, which is really, really nice. It's so easy to meet other students and have some fun.
I can speak specifically to Aurelia. So in Aurelia, we have one residence building, so one type of residence. And what that looks like is single rooms. So you would have your own room with a double bed, closet, storage space, desk, with a sink and some storage area. And then you share a full bathroom with one other person. So it's really just 2 of you, 1 bathroom, you have your own private space, and students seem to be really happy with that arrangement. So as for residence life, it comes with a whole team of support people for you as kind of an extension of the international team. So you have people like your residence assistants and floor reps, as well as full-time staff that live in residence to support you. And like Laura was mentioning, they do various programming, themed events, different campaigns that you can get involved with. Those floor reps and resident assistants are upper year students. So in addition to helping you with your residence life needs, they are also a good resource for you who can speak to their experience at Lakehead, services that they've used, helping refer you to different supports available on campus, and just navigating all those things that you might see as challenges throughout your first year.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Laura and Katie, for chatting about that. And I want to apologize. I didn't note it at the beginning of the webinar, but I think it's clear since we've been doing this for a few months now that all of us are working remotely from our own homes. And you might hear some odd noises that you don't typically hear in the office environment, such as my dog's upstairs right now barking. So I do apologize for that if you do hear that. And for any of our other guests, of course. These are definitely new and interesting times, and we're hoping to just stay connected with everyone and be there to support you. So I know there's a few more questions marked, so I'll pass it over to Jennifer to answer a few of her questions.
Thank you, Jordan. So the first question I have here is talking about being a full-time student and working off campus, and is it guaranteed or conditional? So I'm going to talk about 2 things here. So the first thing is through immigration. So when you apply to come to Canada as a post-secondary student and you're approved the study permit, when you enter Canada is when you actually get that permit printed. So usually it's through the Pearson Airport. No matter if you come to the Aurelia or the Thunder Bay campus, you usually land in Toronto, maybe sometimes Vancouver. And that's where the immigration officer, they're called CBSA, the Canadian Border Agency, will print you the permit upon arrival. And at the bottom of that permit, it will have some remarks. And so we now have off-campus work remarks are actually right on the study permit. So you only get a study permit now when you enter the country. And that's been the case since 2016. So when you enter, you want to read at the bottom of the permit right at the airport to say that it does say you may work on or off campus. So anyone who comes as a full-time student into a post-secondary program, so if you're coming to study English, you are not eligible to work in Canada until you start your degree. If you study at a full-time status and maintain your full-time registration, no gaps in your studies, you will be eligible to work 20 hours a week off campus while you study, and full-time during scheduled breaks. So scheduled breaks are the summer break, reading weeks, winter break, any holidays that we have, and students are allowed to work additional hours in that time. Graduate students, so students studying a master's or PhD, do not have a scheduled summer break, so you will still continue to just work 20 hours a week off campus. Now, in addition to that, you can also work on campus. So some students may work within departments, part-time jobs, as well as maybe get a GA or a TA position for graduate students. So you can work off campus your 20 hours a week, plus your additional hours for your on-campus work. And this is not guaranteed for you. It's just an additional option that immigration allows. So it's nice that Canadian immigration allows you to gain some experience and collect a little bit of income that can help you with your expenses. In fact, this summer with the COVID issues, they allowed international students to work additional hours to help with meeting our service needs in Canada. So it was great to see, and students were able to make a little bit of extra money to help with their fees, which is always nice. But we know that part-time jobs can never support your full expense in Canada. Your tuition is way more than you'll be able to make. So you'd still need to plan and budget financially, but there's lots of part-time work available for you while you study in Canada, both in the Orillia campus and Thunder Bay. I visit the Orillia campus quite often, and a lot of the students there, every time I go there, there seems to be new businesses opening up around the campus and a lot of job opportunities. And we actually have tons of jobs in Thunder Bay. I work directly with the Center of Economic Development. Every day they send me postings for students to work part-time jobs. And of course, as Katie said, we do help with some transition with our career services for after graduation, as once you graduate from Lakehead, you'll be eligible to stay for up to 3 years on an open work permit. And again, join me tomorrow for some more detailed discussions on that stuff. So I think there was one more I'm just going to jump in and do right now just to say. So if I cannot apply for the study permit because of medicals and biometrics, I know this is an issue for everybody. There's nowhere in Canada to give biometrics to, but that does not stop you from applying for your study permit. You must submit your application to apply for the study permit, and then you will get a request to complete a medical and complete your biometrics. So immigration is aware that many people across the world are being penalized right now because of the biometric closures. And of course, we are pleading and asking them to remove this requirement to allow everybody to get study permit approvals fast. So if you do not even have your application in the queue or in the pending, then immigration is not going to consider you whatsoever. So we would still like you to apply for your study permit and then have that request for the biometrics. I do understand that you cannot go give biometrics or you must travel far. So that part is a little bit of a hiccup at this point, but we still encourage you to get your application into the queue, because you can still submit your application and then do the biometrics afterwards and update your application later on. As we know, processing will take 8 to 12 weeks. And as we're getting closer and closer to September, you want to give yourself enough time for that. And I hope that answers your question.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I know we will certainly be answering many more of these questions tomorrow live during our Transition Tuesday immigration session, where we'll chat about visas, study permits, immigration, and so much more. I know the first session was so popular a couple of weeks ago. That's when we formalized the idea of hosting it on a weekly basis every Tuesday. And we're so excited to bring that back and answer more questions. Given that we do have roughly 5 minutes left on today's webinar, we may not have time to answer every question that's been submitted. We'll certainly try and get through a few more of those. So I'll pass it over to Katie to answer a question about thesis-based or course-based master programs.
Sure. So yeah, the question was, which one is better, either course-based or thesis-based master's degree in education for getting a job? So the first and foremost, you need to ask yourself what your future career goals are and what you want to do after graduation. But also you need to consider what your strengths are, what type of learner you are, and really what motivates you. So obviously by name, a course-based master's program is more focused on lectures, being taught in the classroom, working with your colleagues and your peers through your coursework. Whereas a thesis-based course is more leaning on the research-intensive side, so more independent. You often are paired with like a supervisor or a mentor who oversees your research work, and you're really working solo, doing your own investigation, and it's a lot more writing than a course-based program. Oftentimes, people who do a more thesis-based graduate studies program are looking to go further into academia, so maybe pursuing further studies, maybe PhD work, further research, other areas of research and development, more on the experimental side, whereas people who go through for a course-based program are looking more to do something more hands-on and practical as they enter the career workforce. So I would strongly encourage you to consider what your strengths are and what your end goal is, where you see yourself after that program, and use that to kind of guide whether a thesis-based master's degree or a course-based master's degree is more suitable for you. Again, like we've said before, if you're really struggling with this, feel free to reach out to one of our advisors, and we could maybe talk a little bit more about your specific circumstance and help you think through some of those potential challenges or opportunities that lie ahead for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Katie. And next I'll pass it over to Laura to chat about fees.
Yeah, so I believe the question is how the fees are shown on our website and if it's just for the first year or all 4 years. So I'm assuming you're referring to tuition fees. So when we're looking at the schedule of fees, they're assigned a specific year and it's just for 1 year. And that usually when you look at the breakdown, it includes things like your ancillary fees and your mandatory health insurance fees as well. And then that will, maybe change slightly every single year, but not by too much. You just need to make sure you're checking back every year to get accurate information on your tuition fees. When you are navigating the schedule of fees as well, just make sure that you're selecting international and full-time to get the most accurate information. Program fees do vary slightly depending on your academic program, so make sure you're selecting the right one as well.
For sure, yeah. And I think something to elaborate on there is that the fees calculator that Laura is referring to is a very user-friendly interface where you actually get to select each step by yourself. So you choose your status, whether you're a Canadian citizen or a permanent resident or an international student. You choose the year that you're going to be pursuing. You choose this level of study, so undergrad or grad, then the program, and then of course part-time, full-time, any other flexible options, which then it actually will calculate your fees right there. And then each year, typically the academic schedule of fees is released in May for the upcoming academic year. But you can certainly use the most up-to-date fees as a precursor to start planning out how much will it cost over the course of your entire program. Like Laura mentioned, though, there are nominal changes to fees each year to ensure academic integrity of the program and to make sure that we can still deliver the same programming as costs rise. But that's something that we encourage you to look individually because it's unique to every single student based on their status, their program, their level of study. If you wanted to, you can also visit lakeheadu.ca/tuition and it will bring you right there. So we have one question, a general question: is the upcoming fall semester online? So that's a really great question. We did announce that the fall semester is going to be primarily online with alternative delivery modes available. We have already released actually the course timetable, which is really exciting because it will show you exactly which courses are going to be online, how they will be offered, so whether they're going to be asynchronous or synchronous learning, and then if there are any very limited in-person opportunities for first-year students, those are also listed as well. Something to note there is typically most of our in-person opportunities that we've seen have been in upper year courses where students are doing placements or practicums, but it's certainly an option that you can explore, and we certainly encourage you to look on your own regard because, as I've mentioned, for many of the other topics, it's unique to you as an individual. It's not just such a broad stroke that covers the entire international student body. So noting that we are just past 11, I know we had a few more questions marked as that we are going to be able to answer them, but I know that all of us have meetings and appointments with many students after this, so I'll wrap it up here. I want to thank you again for joining us and remind everyone to follow us on our social media. So we are on Facebook, Lakehead University International. If you head over to that Facebook page, we have a group for the incoming class of 2020. If I'm not mistaken, now we are at over 400 students on that group, and they're having great conversations about their plans to join us here at Lakehead. They're meeting future classmates, potential roommates folks from their home country even, which I love seeing, because it's funny that you don't recognize that you might have applied to a Lakehead, and then a few streets over, you might know someone else that's applied to Lakehead, but never make the connection until you join that Facebook group. We're also on Instagram, Lakehead International, Twitter, Lakehead INTL, and YouTube, Lakehead University. Last but not least, if you are interested in taking a virtual campus tour to see where you will be learning eventually when you join us here in Thunder Bay or in Orillia, you can do so by visiting lakeheadu.ca/tours. And you can do that at your own pace, so there's no appointments necessary, and it's all done from the comfort of your own home, which is the most important part. So we want to thank you again for joining us. And I want to thank, of course, our advisors and Jennifer for joining us today. And we'll be live again tomorrow for our immigration session. So once again, thank you, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, everyone.